It's great to see you. Are the rumors true? Are you dating Anderson .Paak? Are you?
Have you seen his movie? It's so good.
How is it?
You look beautiful, Jane.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you arriving at Andy's.
Something just shattered behind the scenes in Hollywood, and the silence is louder than any scandal we've seen this year. Because while cameras were flashing, while curated smiles were being posted, and while fans were still believing in a picture-perfect comeback story, everything was already falling apart for Jeannie Mai, and nobody saw how brutal it was about to get. We're talking about a collapse so fast, so emotional, and so public. Insiders are calling it a triple hit that no one walks away from the same. First, whispers started circulating that Anderson .Paak didn't just pull away, he walked out, quietly, quickly, and with a finality that left Jeannie completely blindsided. Then, before the dust could even settle, another shockwave hit. Jeezy stepped out, not alone, but glowing, confident, and very much publicly aligned with Nia Long. And just like that, the internet exploded. Because this wasn't just bad timing. This felt intentional, calculated, like two separate stories were colliding at the exact same moment, and Jeannie was stuck right in the middle of it. But here's where it turns from messy to devastating. Because sources are now claiming that what really broke Jeannie wasn't just Anderson leaving, it was how he left. The messages, the confrontation, the words that were allegedly said behind closed doors that never made it to the public, until now. And if even a fraction of those leaks are real, then this isn't just heartbreak. This is humiliation, on a level that Hollywood rarely forgives. And what happens next is about to get even uglier. The moment Jeannie Mai thought she had finally rewritten her story, finally stepped out of heartbreak and into something softer, safer, and undeniably real, everything collapsed in a way that insiders are now calling surgical. Because this wasn't messy at first. It was quiet. Too quiet. And that's how it started. According to multiple sources circling the situation, Anderson .Paak didn't explode, didn't argue, didn't create a scene. He pulled back, slowly, intentionally. The kind of distance that doesn't feel like conflict at first, until it becomes absence. Texts that once came instantly started arriving hours later. Calls went unanswered. Plans got rescheduled. And Jeannie, already hyper-aware after everything she had been through with Jeezy, reportedly felt it immediately. Something was off. But what she didn't know was that while she was trying to hold things together, Anderson was already hearing things. Things that would change everything. Because somewhere in the background, the whispers had started. Old clips, old comments, old patterns, all resurfacing at the worst possible time. Anderson, known for being low-key but deeply observant, allegedly didn't react right away. He watched, listened, asked around, and what he heard? That's what insiders say shifted everything. Because suddenly, this wasn't just a new relationship, it was a situation. And according to one alleged insider message that has since been screenshotted and circulated across fan pages, Anderson said something chilling during a private conversation. "I'm not walking into something I already understand the ending of." That line alone sent people spiraling. Because what exactly did he mean by that? What ending? What pattern? And why did it sound like he had already made up his mind before Jeannie even realized there was a problem? But here's where everything detonates, because the breakup, if you can even call it that, didn't happen through distance. It happened in a moment. A confrontation, behind closed doors. No cameras, no filters, just two people. And a truth that couldn't be softened. According to a now viral anonymous post that claims to have come from someone in the room next door, voices were raised. Not screaming, but sharp, cutting. The kind of conversation where every word lands like a blade. Jeannie allegedly asked the question everyone asks when they feel something slipping. Why are you pulling away? And Anderson didn't dodge it, didn't sugarcoat it. He answered directly. I heard enough. That's it. No elaboration, no explanation. Just 4 words that, according to insiders, left Jeannie completely frozen. Because I heard enough doesn't just end a conversation. It implies there's more. Much more. And whatever that more was, he wasn't willing to debate it. But Jeannie wasn't going down without answers. Sources claim she pushed, demanded specifics, asked who said what. And that's when the conversation reportedly took a turn that no one expected. Because instead of naming names, Anderson allegedly referenced something else, something older, something that had nothing to do with him directly, but everything to do with her past. You don't think people talk? That line, that's the one that broke her. Because now it wasn't just about them. It was about perception, reputation, history. And suddenly, to everything Jeannie had worked to rebuild after her very public split from Jeezy started crashing back in, louder, heavier, and more damaging than ever. But what makes this even more explosive is what happened immediately after. Because instead of trying to fix things, Anderson walked. No dramatic exit, no final argument, just gone. And within hours, the first signs of it hit social media. Subtle, but undeniable. Photos archived, comments deleted. Silence where there had just been soft launch energy and quiet confirmations. And fans noticed instantly, because the same internet that had been celebrating Jeannie's new chapter suddenly felt the shift. The energy changed, and people started asking questions. But before those questions could even be answered, another bomb dropped. Because while Jeannie was still processing what had just happened, Jeezy stepped out, publicly, confidently, and not alone. Standing beside Nia Long, looking calm, composed, and, according to fans, like a man who already moved on a long time ago. The photos? Everywhere? The chemistry? Undeniable. The timing? Devastating. Because now Jeannie wasn't just dealing with a private rejection, she was watching her ex-husband publicly thrive, with a woman the internet immediately rallied behind. And the comparisons? Instant, brutal, relentless. Tweets flooded in. Jeezy upgraded. Nia Long? Yeah, it's over. Jeannie fumbled both? And just like that, the narrative flipped. Completely. Because now it wasn't just about Anderson leaving. It was about a pattern, a story, a perception that Jeannie was suddenly at the center of and couldn't control. But the most painful part? According to insiders, Jeannie saw the photos the same way everyone else did, online, scrolling, alone. And what happened next wasn't pretty. Because within minutes, sources claim she broke down, not quietly, not privately, but emotionally, completely. Calls were made, voices cracked, tears that had been held back for months, maybe even years, finally spilling over in a moment where everything hit at once. And then came the message. A text, allegedly sent by Jeannie to someone close, that has now been leaked and is circulating in screenshots across multiple platforms. I feel like I just got replaced. Twice. That line. It hit the internet like a punch. Because suddenly this wasn't just gossip, it was pain. Real, visible. The undeniable pain. But here's the twist no one saw coming. Because just when it looked like Jeannie was the only one unraveling, a new piece of information surfaced. One that completely changed the direction of the story. Because according to a second insider leak, Anderson didn't just leave because of what he heard. He left because of something he saw. Something recent. Something that hasn't been fully revealed yet. And if that's true, then this breakup wasn't just about the past. It was about something that happened while they were still together. Something that, if it comes out, won't just explain why he walked. It might explain why he ran. And the moment that rumor hit, that Anderson Paak didn't just leave because of whispers, but because of something he personally witnessed, the entire tone of the story shifted from messy to dangerous. Because hearing something is one thing. Seeing it? That's confirmation. And according to the second wave of leaks that started flooding social media just hours after that revelation, what Anderson allegedly saw wasn't subtle. It was undeniable. It started with a screenshot, blurry, partially cropped, but explosive. A message thread, time-stamped late at night, between a contact saved under initials and someone fans immediately assumed was Jeannie Mai. The messages themselves? Short, careful, but loaded. Are you still up? I told you we shouldn't be doing this. Then why do you keep answering? And just like that, the internet lost its mind, because now the narrative wasn't just about rumors or reputation anymore. It was about possibility. Was there someone else? Was there overlap? Was Anderson reacting to something that actually happened, not just something he heard? And before anyone could even confirm whether the messages were real, more started appearing. Different angles, different timestamps, different pieces of what looked like the same conversation. And suddenly, it wasn't one leak. It was a flood. Meanwhile, insiders close to Anderson's circle began quietly confirming what fans were already starting to believe, that he didn't confront Jeannie immediately, that he sat on the information, watched, waited. And then, when he saw enough, he ended it in one clean, decisive move. No drama, no negotiation, just distance. And now that calm exit was being reinterpreted as something much colder, much more calculated. Weird because people started asking, if he knew something that serious, why didn't he expose it? Why walk away quietly? Unless he wasn't the only one who wanted it buried. And that's when things spiraled into full chaos. Because while fans were dissecting every screenshot, every caption, every possible connection, Jeezy and Nia Long did something that poured gasoline on an already raging fire. They stepped out again. Together. This time, not just casually, but intentionally. Public event. Front-facing cameras, no hiding, and the energy between them, confident, grounded, almost unbothered, which only made things worse, because the internet immediately drew the contrast. On one side, Jeannie, rumoured breakdowns, leaked messages, emotional instability. On the other, Jeezy and Nia, composed, aligned, moving like nothing around them even mattered. And fans didn't hold back. This is embarrassing. He really leveled up and she's spiraling. Nia Long would never be in a situation like that. The comparisons were relentless, cruel, and impossible to ignore. But here's where it gets even more explosive. Because just as Jeannie's name was trending for all the wrong reasons, a video surfaced, not recent, but suddenly very relevant. An old clip of Jeannie, smiling, laughing, talking about relationships, loyalty, and knowing your worth. At the time, it was empowering. Now, it was being reposted with captions like, "This aged horribly. Practice what you preach." And just like that, her own words became ammunition. Meanwhile, sources claim Jeannie wasn't just aware of what was happening online. She was watching it. All of it. Refreshing, scrolling. Reading comments that dissected her life like it was a storyline instead of reality. And according to one alleged insider who spoke to a gossip page, she hit a breaking point. She kept saying, "They don't know the full story," over and over. That line? It changed everything. Because now the question wasn't just what happened, it was what hasn't been revealed yet. And whether Jeannie was holding something back, something big, something that could flip the narrative, if she chose to say it. But before she could speak, another leak dropped. This time, it wasn't messages. It was audio, short, rough, but clear enough to send shockwaves through the internet. In the clip, a voice, again, unconfirmed but widely believed to be Jeannie, can be heard saying, "I didn't think it would come out like this." That's it. 7 words. But the implications? Massive. Because what does it refer to? The messages? The situation? Something else entirely? And why did it sound like damage control, not denial? the internet exploded again. Because now people weren't just questioning what Anderson saw. They were questioning how much of it was true and how long it had been happening. But just when it seemed like Jeannie was losing control of the narrative completely, something unexpected happened. Silence. Not from her, from everyone else. Anderson, gone quiet. Jeezy, no comments. Nia Long, completely unbothered. No reactions, no denials, no engagement. And that silence, it didn't calm things down, it made everything louder. Because now it felt intentional, like people were choosing not to speak, choosing to let the narrative run, choosing to let Jeannie sit in the center of it all, alone. And that's when the final twist of this chapter hit. Because a new source, someone claiming to have direct knowledge of the situation, dropped a statement that flipped everything once again. You'll think this is about cheating. It's not. That line alone stopped people mid-scroll. Because if it's not about cheating, then what is it about? The source continued. This is about something that was supposed to stay private, something that crossed lines, but not the way you think. Crossed lines, not the way you think. Now, suddenly every assumption felt unstable, every theory felt incomplete, because whatever Anderson saw, whatever Jeannie is refusing to fully address, whatever Jeezy and Nia are quietly ignoring, it might not be what anyone thinks it is. And if that's true, then the truth, when it finally comes out, won't just be messy. It'll be shocking. Because this story is nowhere near over, and the next piece of it might be the one that changes everything. And just when it felt like the storm had reached its absolute peak, when every rumor, every leak, every whisper had already pushed this situation to the edge, the truth didn't trickle out. It detonated. Because less than a day after that cryptic insider claim, this isn't about cheating, a new file surfaced. Not screenshots this time, not vague posts. A full unedited recording, 10 minutes long, clear audio. No distortion, no room for interpretation. And within seconds of it being uploaded, the internet froze. Because the voice at the center of it sounded exactly like Jeannie Mai. And what she was saying didn't just explain the situation, it complicated it in ways nobody was ready for. I didn't lie. I just didn't say everything. That was the first line. And from that moment on, everything changed. Because this wasn't denial, this wasn't panic, this was confession, layered, careful, and emotional. In the recording, the voice goes on to describe a situation that wasn't about betrayal in the traditional sense, but about blurred boundaries, emotional entanglements, and something described only as unfinished connections that never really ended. And suddenly, that earlier clue made sense. Not cheating, but not clean either. According to the audio, Jeannie allegedly maintained communication with someone from her past, someone who understood her in ways new people couldn't, even while trying to build something new with Paak. No physical crossing of lines, at least not explicitly stated. But emotionally? That line had been crossed a long time ago. And Anderson? He saw it, not through rumors, not through gossip, through proof. A moment, a message, something that confirmed what he had already been feeling. And in that recording, Jeannie admits it. I didn't think it would matter if it wasn't physical. That line? It split the internet in half. Because now the conversation wasn't about right or wrong. It was about perspective. Some fans defended her instantly. That's not cheating. Emotional support isn't betrayal. She's human. But the other side, they weren't having it. Emotional cheating is still cheating. She knew what she was doing. That's exactly why he left. And suddenly this wasn't just a scandal, it was a debate. A war of opinions playing out in real time. Meanwhile, the most chilling part of the recording came near the end. Because after explaining, after justifying, after trying to make sense of it all, her voice breaks, completely. I just didn't want to be alone again. That moment, That's what changed everything. Because for the first time, the story stopped feeling like gossip and started feeling like something deeper, something human, something messy in a way that doesn't fit into headlines. But the internet doesn't slow down for humanity, and before that moment could even settle, another shockwave hit, because while Jeannie's recording was going viral, Jeezy and Nia Long made their boldest move yet. They went official, not quietly, not subtly, but publicly. A post, clear, intentional, a photo that said everything without needing a caption. And within minutes it was everywhere. Blogs, our timelines, group chats, because now it wasn't speculation. It wasn't rumor, it was confirmation. And the timing? Unforgiving. Because while Jeannie's most vulnerable moment was being dissected by millions, Jeezy was stepping into a new chapter that looked stable, intentional, and, according to fans, everything Jeannie said she wanted. The contrast? Devastating. And the internet made sure she felt it. This is the ultimate glow-up. He didn't lose, he upgraded. She lost both men at the same time. The narrative had fully turned, and there was no controlling it anymore. But just when it seemed like Jeannie had been completely boxed into a corner, one final twist surfaced. And this one? No one was ready for it, because a second recording, shorter, sharper, began circulating late that night. Different voice, male, calm, and, according to listeners, eerily familiar. Many believe it was Anderson .Paak, and in it, the speaker says something that reframed everything. I didn't leave because she talked to someone else. I left because she couldn't let go. Let go. Not move on. Not start fresh. Let go. And suddenly the story wasn't about betrayal, it was about baggage, emotional weight, unresolved chapters bleeding into new ones. And Anderson? He wasn't angry. He was done. Done with competing with a past that never really ended. Done with a situation that felt incomplete from the start. And just like that, everything clicked. The distance, the silence, the clean exit. It wasn't cold. It was clarity. But here's the part that nobody can ignore. Because while Anderson walked away, and while Jeezy moved forward with Nia Long, Jeannie is still standing in the middle of it all. Not as a villain, not as a victim, but as someone caught between who she was and who she was trying to become. And the world is watching every second of it, waiting, judging, speculating, because the story may feel complete. But it isn't, not even close, because healing doesn't go viral, but the fallout always does. And something tells me, this fallout is still unfolding. And if you thought that was everything, if you think you've finally got the full story, don't fool yourself. Because what we just uncovered, that's only what leaked. That's only what people were allowed to hear. And if this situation has proven anything, it's that there are still layers, deep, complicated, and possibly explosive layers, that haven't even surfaced yet. So right now, you have a choice. You can scroll past this and miss what happens next. Or you can stay locked in, because the next update could drop at any moment. And when it does, it's going to hit harder than everything we've already seen. Hit that like button if you felt the intensity of this story, because trust me, this is not over. Subscribe right now, because the moment new audio, new receipts, or a direct response from Jeannie Mai, Anderson .Paak, or Jeezy and Nia Long drops, we're breaking it down instantly. And don't stay silent. Get in the comments and tell me what you think really happened. Was Anderson justified? Did Jeannie sabotage her own fresh start? Or is there still something bigger behind the scenes that hasn't come out yet? Because right now, the comment section is where the real investigation is happening. People connecting dots, catching details and exposing angles nobody else is talking about. And your voice might be the one that uncovers the next piece of this puzzle. Stay alert. Stay watching. Because in a story like this, the silence never lasts. And the next leak might change everything.